Welcome to this week's episode of Minutes with Blitzy, a podcast about life as a female athlete featuring conversations around challenges women may face in athletics. Conversations will feature guest athletes and women who work in sports. In today's episode, we are going to be discussing pre and during game nerves with RPI fifth year goaltender Amanda Rampado. And she's on the screen now, so hi, Amanda.
Hi, Blitzy. Thanks for having me.
It's weird calling you Amanda. I'm always calling you Rampy. She's Rampy to me, everybody. So, first, I'm going to start off by just saying a little bit about my opinion in nerves. So, I think every athlete has nerves as you grow up playing a sport, and I think nerves are a good thing because that means you care about what you're doing and everything, but nerves can get in the way of doing things badly for you. Like you get scared, and when you get scared, you start to make mistakes. So, that's what Rampy and I are going to be discussing a little bit about today. So, just for all you guys to know, Rampy is going to her fifth year at RPI. We played together for the last 4 years. So she's continuing her education and her athletic career while doing a master's. Um, I don't know what your master's is. I want to say it's biomedical engineering,
Yes,
but
it is.
yes, it is. Okay, so I'm correct about that.
Yeah.
So the reason, Rampy, I wanted to have you, although most athletes face high stress situations and get nervous a lot, as a goalie, I'm assuming that can happen more often than most of us who aren't facing 50 plus shots in our faces every game. So I just kind of wanted to ask you a few questions, see how your opinion and everything. So starting off, is there anything specifically you do like before a game, before a practice that kind of calms you down to get any jitters or nerves out of your system?
Yeah, one thing that I really got big on the last few years was breathing exercises. So before a game, when everybody's in the room talking, sometimes I just need to remove myself, find my own little quiet corner, and I just breathe. I do a lot of visualization. I find that helps just make me feel already comfortable when I first step on the ice. But especially in the last year, there was a time when I almost isolated myself too much, and that would make my nerves worse. So I'd find that nice balance between having some quiet moments for myself, but also having fun. Because I
Yeah.
found, it's a really long season, like 34 games. We play for 8 months in a row. So going into every single weekend, like hyper focused on something, almost like took me out of it mentally. So especially last year and this upcoming year, I'm really looking towards like having a little bit of fun and getting a little bit loose before games.
Yeah, I agree. I think having fun is something important like athletes have to remember. And I think, growing up and trying to get to the highest level, you're like, you have to be serious at every moment. But it's really important to like enjoy what you're doing and enjoy that you're about to go play a sport that you love. So I know for me, like leading up to the game, I always had like, the times are always very strict before we get on the ice, warm ups, all that. So there was always some time that I was still laughing around and playing around in the locker room before it was actually time to like get in the zone that 10 minutes before warm up. So I think it is very important to remember that you are still trying to have fun. And the more, for me at least, the more fun I was having, the better I was playing.
Yeah, I
So
also
I think
found
that's
that.
important.
Yeah, I found that sometimes those days when I would like come to the rink 2 hours before a game, stay super focused that whole time, then get on the ice, super focused for warm up, stay super focused like when the flood's going on in between. It felt almost like I used up all of my mental energy and focus like before
Yeah.
a game getting ready. Like there was none left when I was on the ice. So that's especially why I tried to like balance out. Okay, right when I get to the rink, I'll like focus a little bit. Then when we have team warm up, have a little bit of fun, like jump around, make some jokes, and then again right before the ice, like get back in the zone because people don't really realize how tiring it is staying like dialed in on one thing for 4 hours in a row.
Yeah, I mean, as much it is physically challenging, it's very hard mentally. And it's like hard to stay completely in the zone like you were talking about. And obviously, we're as athletes, you're going to have days where it's like it's not 100% focus is there. Like you're not going to be 100% there. So I know a bunch of our teammates in the past couple years, I know I do it, you do it a little bit. We started journaling a little bit. And I think that helped me with my nerves because at least a couple hours before the game, before I was even in the rink, I was able to kind of write down all that stuff and kind of push it out of my head so I wasn't necessarily thinking about that when I got there. So that was kind of a way for me that I could calm myself down a little bit.
Yeah, I did the same thing. I would just like all the thoughts I was having before a game, just write that down so it's out in the universe, doesn't need to stay stuck in my head, get it out, and then it's almost feeling like a weight lifted off your shoulders. It's like, okay, I got
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
written, I got that done, now I can just like focus on playing.
Right. Exactly. And like, would you say that nerves are necessarily a bad thing to have as an athlete, or as long as you can kind of control when they occur, it's a good thing in a way?
It's like what you said at the beginning, like nerves mean you care, so I think they're definitely a good thing. But of course, like being able to control them and like channel them, especially when you're playing at such a high level, like it's super important. If you let nerves get the best of you, then of course you're not thinking on the game. For me, I'm not thinking about stopping the puck. I'm just thinking like, oh, what if I let this shot in? And that's obviously going to affect your game.
Yeah.
Um, but even like in life, especially being a student athlete, that's a really specific situation for us. Like we could go from writing a really important exam right to playing a really important hockey game. And of
Hmm.
course, like, yeah, you're going to have some nerves before an exam, you'll have nerves before a game. But in my mind, it all comes down to like preparation. Like if you know you studied your butt off for that exam, then maybe you'll feel a little bit less nervous when you start. Again, being an athlete, if you know, like, okay, we've worked on the plays, we've worked on this, like, maybe you'll be a little bit less nervous for that game.
Yeah, I think that what you just said about preparation is a huge part because that preparation allows you to like calm yourself down. And I know for me at times I found myself more nervous for exams than when it came to like practice and games and stuff, just
Mm-hmm.
because we've been preparing for hockey for our whole lives, but that calculus test you've only been preparing for a couple weeks.
Yeah.
So it's like the more you prepare, the better you are off. And for me, sometimes I always got more nervous during practice than in a game because in a game you're just going through you know what to do in a
Yeah.
game, and in practice it's like everything's broken down into so many small pieces. Like every little thing is what you're trying to perfect, which I felt, that is the preparation for the game, but that preparation can also make you nervous. Um, but I think the more you prepare, the better off you are, and you can calm yourself down. Um, so I think preparation is a big one for all the young athletes to remember. And the more you prepare, the more confident you're going to feel. So,
I think especially being on like a team sport, it's different than a solo sport where like you're the only one you're focusing on. Because for us, like we have 31 different people that we need to worry about. So
right.
feeling confident that everybody is prepared is obviously going to make you feel a little bit better. And it gets back into that like team cohesiveness where again, like you got to make sure everyone's on board, everyone's doing their thing. So if I'm confident that Blitzy gets on the ice and I know like what she's doing in our end, then I'll feel more confident like as a team, like, okay, we're gonna get through this, we're gonna win this game.
Right. Yeah, you have to put a sense of trust in your teammates that they're going to also be preparing. So that's also a big contribution there. But are there any games or times of the season you're more nervous than others? Like when it comes closer to winter break time, the end of the season, playoffs starting to roll around, are there certain teams like what gets you a little more nervous than the typical day in Rampyville?
I think honestly, it's right at the beginning of the season because it's a new team, lots of new players, and that's like when everyone's the most motivated. Everybody wants to prove
Yeah.
themselves. Everyone wants to show what a great summer that they've had. So that's when I feel the most pressure to come out and be my best. And of course, like winding down towards playoff time when I mean, every game matters, but right at the end, that's usually when we're in the hunt for that playoff spot. But yeah, those would probably be my two biggest nerve wracking games.
Yeah, I think it's also important for athletes to remember that, I mean, especially being on a college team, a professional team, there's going to be big rosters. So there's going to be, and it's a big jump from high school junior hockey to having a roster from 25 to 31. There are going to be moments where you're not necessarily dressing every game, and you have to remember that you can't be like nervous the next week at practice that you're going to keep messing up. You got to be confident um, that you're going to improve on what you need to so you are able to, get that starting position. So I know for like goalies, deals all the time. We deal with it all the time going in and out of the lineup. So is there anything like if there is this time or situation where you know that you might not be in the net one game that you just tell yourself to like keep working on these certain things to like just prevent yourself from getting scared of not having that starting position?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, usually, I feel like I'm usually like pretty self-aware. I know what I need to work on. Like if I have a really bad game the previous weekend, I know like where I got scored on, like what caused it to go wrong, and that's probably the reason that I'm not in the net the next time. So I think dialing into that self-awareness and trying to fix that, but also knowing that just because like you miss one game, it doesn't mean that you're a bad hockey player. It's just a coach's decision. There's so many outside factors,
Hmm.
and all you can really do is focus on yourself in those situations. It can definitely be nerve wracking, thinking about like, oh, like I'm never gonna play again. But again, just knowing that's an outside thing that you can't really control, and understanding that if you do what you can to get better to the best of your ability, then I think that almost settles your nerves a little bit more because like you're taking control of your own actions.
Yeah, I think you're exactly right there. Okay, one more thing to finish it up. It's a little fun, this one.
Okay.
So I know as student athletes, we are constantly moving in various different directions from the classroom to the rink to the gym, back and forth. We're going to have a later episode on this a little bit more, but is there anything you like to do that kind of allows you to decompress away from school and hockey? And I know Rampy, everybody, she's always studying. This girl will be
Yes.
studying every second of the day. But like what do you like to do for 20 minutes of your day? Because I've always found that if I'm busy, I just can take 20 minutes before I'm getting ready for bed to just do something not related to school or hockey that can kind of allow me to like decompress. Do you have anything that calms you down at night or during the day that you can do?
Definitely just listening to my music. If you ask anybody who sees me walking on campus, I'm like head down sprinting. I'm like
Oh yeah.
strumming to the beat. If I'm driving around, I didn't have a car for very long last year, but when I'm home for the summer, I have that music cranked and I am singing my heart out.
Oh
So,
yeah, I that's
yeah.
music's the best. Like the amount of times I've tried to get like people try to get my attention from across campus and I got my headphones in. Nobody can get my attention. It's full blast. I'm booking it to the next class. Like it's the same thing with you. Like I've tried calling your name before and I'm like, yeah, no.
No, yeah, my
Not gonna get her.
maxed out and I'm just dialed in on the music. That's my little
Yeah.
escape.
Yeah, I think it is important to remember to like take that time out of your day to just kind of forget about everything because I mean, as student athletes, we were like moving so fast that the more things you put on your plate, the more stressful it can become. So you want to allow yourself that time to not have to worry about, you know, about school, about hockey, and you can just focus on you. Um,
Exactly. Um,
so
I don't know if you noticed it last year, but I even started drawing smiley faces on my stick.
did you
Um,
actually?
did, yeah. I was doing
Where?
on the back of my blade.
Really?
Yeah, I added like some little doodles, some smiley faces because you know that I got a little bit caught up in the heat of the moment. So I started drawing like funny little things on the back of my stick. So every once in a while I'd look down and then I'd laugh and be like, okay, at the end of the day, we're just playing a game. Like it's supposed to be fun.
That's funny. I mean, that's I did not know that. I know sometimes like I know Venner would like sing in net. Do you sing? Like you sing sometimes?
I sing
Or do you
some.
talk to yourself a little bit?
Yes, I want to be mic'd up so bad because the things I say in net, I think I'm so funny.
I bet you are. Like I can just I don't even I think I would just have like a full-on conversation with myself if the
Yeah.
puck was in the other end. Like I'd be like talking about like what I have to go buy at the grocery store. I don't know. Like
Yeah. Or like I
it's
make a
just
save and I'm like, oh, slay.
right. Yeah, you like compliment yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could you know, sometimes that happens like you make a good pass or you like score a nice goal. You're like, "Oh, that was really good."
You're like, go
Like
me.
I was right, like I was playing around the golf last weekend and I hit a chip shot that like I I've never hit in my life before and it like landed perfectly on the green and I turned to my dad. I was like, "Wow, I've never done that before." And it's just like sometimes you got to compliment yourself and you keep going,
Yeah, exactly. Recognize your success.
right? Exactly. All right, Ramp. Well, that's going to conclude our conversation today. I want to thank you so much for coming out and being a part of this. And good luck next season. I will be watching, and I expect many updates.
Yeah, for
So I
sure.
wish you the best of luck. And with your master's degree and the season, I know you're going to do great. So thank you very much. And as for everyone else, thanks for listening. Let me know what else you want to hear about in these conversations. And next episode, I'm going to go into a little bit about what it's like being a high level athlete and balancing some sort of social life. So I hope you guys enjoy and we'll see you next time.